urgently pinned against the stone, bleeding from a fresh cut over his eye. This man is out of options. If he tells the truth, that he's just a failed lawyer, the inmates will tear him apart for wasting their time. If he lies and claims to be a kingpin, the warden will drag him to the isolation wing for a different kind of ending. Survival doesn't depend on what he did, but on which lie he can sell. Days earlier, Park Chang-ho was the laughingstock of the local courts. He had a win rate of less than 10% and a mountain of debt. People called him Big Mouth because he could talk a big game, but he never actually won. He was the perfect target for a group of elites who needed a fall guy for a high-profile murder. They drugged his coffee, crashed his car, and planted millions in stolen cash and drugs inside his office walls. By the time he woke up in a cell, the evening news had already named him the mastermind of a global criminal empire. Chang-ho arrived at the gates expecting the legal system to work. He waited for his lawyer, for the evidence to be cleared, for the mistake to be corrected. Instead, he was met with a noose and a blade. The law didn't exist inside these walls, only the reputation of the man they thought he was. To make it to the next morning, he has to do the one thing he spent his career failing at. He has to step into the yard and convince 500 murderers that he is the very monster who destroyed his life. This facility functions like a city-state, built on geometric isolation. There are no civilians here, only a rigid hierarchy where the guards take bribes and the inmates enforce the taxes. Every conversation in the yard revolves around Big Mouth, a ghost who supposedly controls the country's drug trade and untraceable crypto accounts. No one has seen his face, which makes Chang-ho the perfect vessel for the legend. The pressure is a vice grip. The warden believes Chang-ho is hiding $100 million in stolen funds and is willing to use any method to find it. At the same time, gang leaders are looking for the prestige that comes with killing the most famous criminal in Korea. Proving his innocence in this environment would be a death sentence. The moment the inmates realize he is just a bumbling lawyer, his protection evaporates. He has to stay in character, even as the person he used to be starts to disappear under the weight of the act. Chang-ho pivots from pleading for his life to weaponizing his legal training. He begins to analyze the guards and inmates as if they were a jury, studying their weaknesses and projecting a stillness that suggests he is always 3 steps ahead. This is the mechanic of confirmation bias. A simple action passes through the inmate's expectations, magnified by fear. As this network builds, they attribute every unexplained event to his influence. He only provides a shadow for them to project fears onto. His only anchor to his old life is his wife, Mi-ho. She is working on the outside to find the real Big Mouth, and his desperation to see her again is the only reason he has not completely lost himself in the role. In a place where truth is impossible to find, perceived power is identical to actual power. If the men around him believe he can order their deaths with a whisper, he effectively has the authority of a king. The strategy takes an unexpected turn when the real Big Mouth starts communicating. Tarot cards appear in his cell, each one containing hidden instructions or names of people who need to be handled. The real mastermind isn't trying to kill the imposter, he's training him. They are both hunting the same group of elites. These VIPs exist above the law, using their wealth to erase crimes and manipulate the government. And they are the common enemy that binds the lawyer and the criminal. With the real mastermind's intel, Chang-ho begins to execute genuine strikes. He predicts drug raids and identifies traitors within the prison staff. He isn't just surviving a riot anymore, he's directing the flow of power within the prison. The line between the mask and the man is fading. He now commands a loyal syndicate that takes his orders without question, turning the prison into his own personal headquarters. Chang-ho realizes the math of the justice system is broken. For every bribe he exposes, 3 more are paid in rooms he can't see. He sees the elites have the resources to keep the legal cycle of acquittals spinning forever. Watch the way he moves into the dark. The frantic look he had on his first day is replaced by a heavy, focused stillness. When he speaks now, he doesn't use the language of the court. He uses the language of leverage. He begins to treat people differently. He stops looking at his fellow inmates as clients to be saved and starts viewing them as assets to be positioned. He sacrifices lower-level allies to secure a path to the men at the top, a calculation he never would have made 6 months ago. He no longer asks the system for help, because he knows the system is designed to protect his enemies. By the time he steps out of the yard, the lawyer who believed in rules has been replaced by a man who understands that, in this world, power is the only thing that can't be bribed. The man sitting at the head of this table isn't looking for a trial date. He is dictating terms to the same people who used to own the judges. The bumbling attorney who couldn't pay rent has vanished into the fabric of this new persona. He now manages the same multi-billion-dollar empire that was once used to frame him. He uses their own offshore accounts and political connections to dismantle them, piece by piece, from within the shadows. The tragedy of the story is the realization that the law was never enough. Where institutions are completely rotted, a hero who follows the rules is just a victim. Only a monster has the reach to pull the pillars down. The elites tried to destroy a man by giving him a name he didn't earn. They thought they were picking a weak scapegoat, but they accidentally provided the perfect cover for a man with the intellect to use their own corruption against them. They didn't just ruin a life, they built the very criminal master they were afraid of. If you were stripped of rights and dropped into a system where only the ruthless survive, how long would you hold on to your values before you decided to pick up the mask? Exploring exactly how complex characters are shaped by the stories they are forced to tell is what we do here. If you found this breakdown of Park Chang-ho's evolution interesting, subscribe to see which narrative we dissect next.